hundreds of unsupervised kids down here. I don't know how many times I have to say it. We are not your children's keepers.
Wow.
You are. And parents and guardians have got to step up. A kid is dead tonight, and we just don't know the age of the young man down the street, still here, dead. He looks young.
When I first saw this, I knew I was going to have to cover this video. Never did I think that we would see a police chief trying to hold parents accountable. I mean, I hear that there's talks of people maybe even suggesting that the parents be held accountable and charged. Charged of what? Well, what's happening is there are more and more young people who are out. These aren't adults. These are kids out at night during ungodly hours. These kids have guns. I wasn't surprised when I saw a comment like this one that read, "We teachers have been screaming this and no one is listening." Look at that. This comment has 59,000 likes from people who are talking about, hey, there's a problem with parents who do not have what it takes to raise up these children properly so that they're not a danger to other children or society. And it looks like people are tired of blaming outside factors, and they're finally wanting to deal with the root of the problem, which is who's raising these kids. Here's another comment that says teachers are sick of it too. Guys, 122K on this comment, likes on this comment.
It's unacceptable. The police department all night long went from place to place to place trying to prevent these kind of things. And I gotta be honest, I'm tired of it. You should be tired of it. This is not our job to do this. It is unnecessary. You don't have to act like this. Our officers, half a block away from when before this shooting started, dealing with another group of individuals fighting. We made almost probably, well, we're still tallying them, about 20 arrests tonight.
Wow.
Recovered guns that I know of before this happened from 2 kids.
Wow.
One of them was an assault rifle stuffed in the front of his pants.
Hold on. No. We got to check out some of these comments. We have to. I'm going to get back to the video. Top comment here reads, once you meet the parents, you'll see why these kids act the way they do. Now, a lot of people here chimed into this comment, like this person who says, arrest the parents. This isn't the first time I've heard this idea. I think at this point, you can't think that anything's impossible going forward. The idea of holding parents accountable to me does not seem like it's any step too far. I made another video of this, I'm sure you guys remember, of another city that was suggesting the same thing. Might have been Atlanta, but I'm not sure. We'll check. Here's somebody else that says, not true. You got kids that got rules and are very disciplined at home and act like fools with their friends. You see that these are exceptions to the rule, right? People will sit here and like this comment and say, yeah, some kids. We're not talking about some. There are general trends that you can observe, not only observe, that you can predict depending on whether that child grew up with a father, right? You're more likely to go to jail than you are college if you do not have a father in the household. Crazy statistic. But people still want to rely on, well, some people can do it by themselves. Somebody already read that one about teachers are sick of this too. All right, somebody else here says it's the YNs, bruh. For those of you who don't know, that stands for Young Ninjas. So people obviously responded back to this comment, like this person who says, why must we bring race into everything? Another person who says, because it's literally black kids majority of the time. Holding our community accountable is not racism. And so these are mainly black people here who are having this discussion. Goes on to say it's a problem the parents need to fix. He responded back and says, yes, there's a lot of issues in our black communities. It's good to realize and take accountability 100%. What's not okay is for us to see a video like this and then without details on who was shooter, etc., assume they were black. That's what's wrong. That is just giving into the stereotype. All black people are thugs, ghetto. These communities are not prospering in the first place, because America has never and probably will never be a country set up to help people of color to get out of these said communities, which is why this cycle continues. The system is not meant to help, his commenter says. And so after reading that back and forth, I said, you know what? Okay, here's the thing. The interesting thing about today's society is people love to document everything. And so I said, let me just go search, simple search. And I came across a few videos of kids who were hanging out within the last few days with the hashtags, like down here it says Indianapolis, downtown. This says point of view. You go downtown for the weekend in my city. Let's just play it. I can't play it because there's music here, but you can tell this is a very, very young crowd. But I did notice that this said that it was posted like 3 days ago. Like today's the 6th of July. So this could have been like not technically the same night. But I found this video, right? This one doesn't have music at all. This one actually has sound. And the actual caption reads, when you gotta duck because they start bussing, with the laughing emoji. And then it goes on to read, when you hear gunshots and you lit, fire emoji. The random guy was gone. Protect he and my cousin with his blicky. Check out a few of these comments. This person says, 2 people died. This isn't a joke. Now, the young lady that posted this, that was hanging out there with her friends, responded back to this commenter and says, I was having a good time with my family. I'm not joking. Go on somewhere. But since none of those videos were specific to 4th of July, this is probably the craziest video with the actual title, Indianapolis, 4th of July celebration. And there you have the shooting. I'm not even actually sure if I can play this video, if it's YouTube safe. Of course, guys, what do you think? Let's keep watching.
We keep going back to what's the government going to do? What's the city going to do? The city's invested in this. Millions of dollars the city, taxpayers pay for police overtime to staff this 1 square mile area with, there was a couple hundred cops down here between state police and Capitol Police and IMPD and other police department agencies. Yes, we're going to keep doing our job. The city of Indianapolis, government, the police department is going to continue to do our job. We're not going to solve this. Not just by the police. We made 20 arrests tonight.
Bailey, you're a dad.
Yeah.
What would you say to those parents out there?
I don't understand it. I know where my kids are at all time. So maybe that's maybe I shouldn't be that way. 16-year-old daughter. I cannot imagine letting her roam around down here tonight like she was, like kids were, unattended, unsupervised, nothing to do. Some of these individuals that were shot could have been very well not engaged in any kind of disturbance whatsoever, but it just caught up in a crossfire. Nearly down here, enjoying ice cream, or maybe they were down here for the fireworks, or wanted to see what's going on in the circle and got caught up in whatever's happening. But look, nothing good happens after midnight.
All right, a few more comments here. This lady here says, maybe we need to bring back, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Now, this may be, whatever method this was to keep kids inside and safe, outdates me, you know. It sounds like one of those commercials they had back in the day. If anybody understands what she's talking about, comment down below. It's okay. It's okay. Somebody else responded back and says, street lights. When they came on, we had to be on the porch at least. But we had to be home. Kids need to get outside more, but not like that. Not with assault rifles and craziness. This lady agreed and said, yep, street lights come on. We can stay and play out in the front yard, the backyard, but we could not go outside our fences. So what do you guys think? Do parents and maybe cities need to start implementing some type of strict rules? Maybe residences, right? They want to keep their community safe and say, hey, we don't want your kids outside after dark. Does that need to be policy that needs to be implemented? What do you think? Will policies fix this? I don't think so. I think holding parents accountable is probably a more effective measure. Here's the reality of things, though. The reality of things is AI is upon us. And I think people really, really, really underestimate just how much robots, I'm talking about robots that will be used in policing. Maybe there'll be service bots or whatever you call them. People don't realize how close that is around the corner. I can imagine very soon, within the next 3 to 4 years, We will have robots that will roam the streets. You know, they'll first introduce them as robots that can detect when someone's in danger and first responders can come out. And people be like, oh, that sounds good. Yeah. You know, look like RGB2, the friendly style robot. You're like, oh, that looks harmless. All it's doing is detecting to see if there's any danger. This is happening right now in Los Angeles. If you walk through Los Angeles, LA, not only will you see self-driving cars, you will also see robots that deliver food to apartments and homes. This is happening currently right now. If you live in LA, you've probably seen them downtown. This is coming. And after they introduce this, it will be just one small step forward to introduce a bot that goes around to arrest people. And it sounds crazy until people start seeing how effective they are. That can detect danger, someone who may have a weapon, right? What's the meter of how dangerous this person is? Unfortunately, if you're not able to rail in your children now or this continues, unfortunately, we're entering an age where I personally believe the fate of young killers, and I am talking about killers, young people willing to kill, their fate will be left to the heartless, literally heartless determination of machines and robots who don't have any sympathetic bone in their body, who don't think twice, who will shoot on command. It's not what I want. It is what's guaranteed to come into the future. And I don't think we're really going to be able to stop it. That's what I see happening. A few more comments here. This person says, kids are out of control because the parents have more excuses than actions. Somebody else who says, parents need to be held accountable and charged. Here's somebody else who says, this is exactly fatigue we speak of. Here's somebody else who says, poor parenting is slowly ruining the entire country. Another person here added, cops are feeling that fatigue. Guys, of course, I'm curious to know, what do you think? Leave your comments down below. So I'm actually going to end this video with another video I released a while back with a thumbnail that read, swing on teacher, parents get jail. Parents put behind bars over kids swinging on teachers. Will lawmakers sign off? Previously on the Coffee Pot.
Proposed legislation could mean Georgia parents might face jail time if their child hurts a teacher.
Well, it
No
all comes
way.
as educators report an increase of violence in schools. Atlanta News First reporter Abby Koussouris explains the issue that has people divided.
Oh my goodness. If you hit a teacher, you may go to jail under Georgia's Parent Accountability Act. Oh man, finally.
Martin Luther King Jr. High School punched a teacher, and you see the teacher swing back.
It's not good if a student's fighting a teacher because the teacher might feel like they don't want to have this job anymore, and that's the last thing we want.
This is another video of a student hitting a teacher at Discovery High School in Gwinnett County. The American Psychological Association.
I knew it was not just me. And you can think that when I report on those videos that I'm like trying to push a certain narrative, they are seeing that the data is showing an increase when it comes to students putting their hands on teachers, of course. Now, this is a game changer because if you know that your child is not only a risk to others, but they will result in you going to jail, and that changes things.
In a survey, they found 56% of teachers reported incidents of physical violence.
Wow.
Nearly half of teachers want to quit or transfer schools.
And in some of these schools, in high schools, we will have at least 3 or 4 fights per week.
Educator and president of the Georgia Federation of Teachers, Delia Turner, worked with lawmakers to draft the Georgia Parent Accountability Act. She says the bill would make parents personally responsible if their child hurts a teacher.
Beautiful.
They could face a fine, community service, and possible jail time.
If I run a red light, I pay the price. If I don't pay internal revenue, I pay the price.
Right.
So parents now will have to get a grip,
Right.
and understand who their children are, because some parents don't even know what their children are doing.
Talking to parents and former teachers, some say the bill goes too far.
I think that's excessive, extremely excessive. I know that kids have anger issues, especially these days, and parents have anger issues. So that's why I think money should be better spent on a bill that mandates parenting classes.
Joanne, you're wrong. You're wrong, plain and simple. Stop it. I want you guys to really think about how this would change it, because I assume that how they will do this is probably to hold the person who has majority of custody accountable. Because in a lot of these situations, you have women who are trying to keep fathers away from their children, or they're having a bunch of children with men who are not going to be responsible or present. So what about the male bums? And yes, I do mean bums who, let's be honest, run around and have multiple children out of wedlock. They should also be held responsible, in my opinion. Imagine finding out you have to get locked up because your 7th child can't stop beating on teachers at school. You'll probably sort him out and will discipline the hell out of that kid. But regardless, if you knew that the product that's coming out of your home will affect you personally, that changes a lot of things. This topic was so heated that people started to address it here in the comment section of this post. And here's what people had to say. Let's read a few of these comments. Absolutely. So first comment, one of the top comments here, this woman is just immediately in favor of this. Absolutely. Teach your children to have respect. We would have never laid hands on an adult when I was growing up. That was really unheard of. To hear that a kid put his hands on a teacher, you just assume that it was just over for that kid. You assume it's over for him. Here is a woman leaving clapping emojis. Here's somebody else that says, raise them right. People always compliment me on how well-mannered and respectful my kids are. This next male commenter says, this needs to be set in stone for all areas of the U.S. I agree. I back this 100%. Goes on to say, these kids getting out of control, I bet they change when the parents got to start getting sent to jail. And even if it doesn't change the children, maybe it might help other people be careful or maybe more cooperative with bringing in the father to come in and help out with those children, right? If they're in that type of a situation. But also for some of them, they probably will think, if I do this very evil act, then my mom's going to suffer. Too many parents are out here raising up monsters, young monsters, and many of them are, who are a danger to society. This is true. I don't care how you feel about it. If your child, if it hit a nerve and that maybe that's your kid, I'm not saying things can't be helped. That first video that you guys couldn't see because it was blocked out, I knew I couldn't report on that because the violence was just crazy. We're talking an elderly teacher got jumped by multiple kids. Multiple. They jumped him. They didn't care if there were cameras there. They did not care. Now, if that child who knew that there's nobody to hold him accountable at home, but his mom, and you know how men feel about their mothers, if he knew they'll lock his mom up for what he did, he would probably think twice. Or maybe they're 2-parent households where people, even though that's less likely, but a 2-parent household that's dysfunctional with a terrible dad and a terrible mother, same thing. Now, where could things go wrong in this type of a situation? I think if they don't have any type of a system to really vet who is the main parent in that situation, and what I mean by that is if a father is not involved and he's being kept from seeing his children and is not part of the disciplining process, then they should take that into very serious consideration, because there are men out here who haven't seen their kids in years. We've seen situations where women are actively trying to keep their children away from their fathers, and then they end up raising monsters. Somebody else who says it's either that or let the teachers hit them back. Oof. Come on. Here's somebody else who says teachers are out here fighting for their lives. Just terrible. And remember that this was put together by the teachers union. For the teachers to say this is a measure we're considering, it means that they sit there, deal with these children, and they think to themselves, okay, I'm going to talk to your mother, or I'm going to talk to whoever's your main guardian, your father. And they talk to these parents, many of them single moms. That's just the fact. And they do little to absolutely nothing. The things that I've heard, you guys have seen the teacher videos that I've covered. The teachers are saying that they have to parent while they teach. And teachers have quit many, many times because they didn't go to school to focus on parenting just as much as they're focusing on teaching. Now, to the degree where this is very bad, probably is different depending on the school district and probably the socioeconomic status of the area. Regardless, people need to be held accountable, because the fact that it's rising lets you know that it once wasn't this high and they could get back to that. Nothing can be perfect, but things right now are definitely out of control. Of course, I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comment section down below. I 100% back and support this. To my soon-to-be married men, currently engaged men, listen, fathershaverights.com. If you're interested in getting a prenuptial agreement before you get married, our guide shows you how every step of the way, presented to you by expert attorneys. We give you the right steps before you hire your attorney. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.